Secretary Manis, this is Jennifer Burke. Can you hear me? I'm trying to do a mic check.
I can hear you loud and clear.
So can I, Jennifer.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chair Galvin. I am having trouble with my video. Let me see if I can work it out.
Mine says the host has disabled it.
Oh, one moment, I'll get that fixed.
Yes, that's what mine is saying too. So glad it's not just me.
It should be enabled, that pesky host.
Thank you, Dina.
You bet.
Good morning, Dina. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Morgan.
Morning.
Do we have everyone?
I don't see Board Member Walsh on yet, but
Okay.
we do have a quorum of 2 with yourself and Board Member Battenford.
Okay, we can wait a few minutes.
And Chair Galvin, staff is all on, and I just texted Board Member Walsh to see if he's joining us. So if you want to give him a few minutes, you're welcome. Otherwise, we're ready to start whenever you are.
I think we give him a couple minutes. Nobody heard that he wasn't going to be here, right? Okay.
Correct.
No response from Board Member Walsh?
No, I have not received a response.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started, because I know Board Member Badenfort's got to do a little traveling after the meeting. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Contract Review Subcommittee to order. And if we may have Secretary Manis do a roll call, please.
Thank you. Board Member Walsh. Board Member Badenfort.
Here?
Chair Galvin.
Here. Just to remind, oops, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Just let the record show that all board members are present with the exception of Board Member Walsh.
Thank you. So just a reminder to the subcommittee members to mute your phones or microphones when you're not speaking, but try and keep your video going, please. Item number 2 is public comments on non-agenda items. So we'll now take public comments on item 2. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're dialing in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Secretary Manis, do we have anyone?
There are no public comments for this item.
That's a shock. Okay, let's move now to our new business item 3.1, Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the subcommittee. Item 3.1 is our only item today. It's a proposed professional services agreement with Wolpert Inc. for technical support for integration between our CIS and CityWorks software systems. And making the presentation will be Janine Zaragoza, our Department Information Technology Supervisor, and Kimberly Zanino, our Deputy Director of Administration.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. And thank you, Chair Galvin and Board Member Badenford for taking the time today to review this proposed professional services agreement we're requesting with CityWorks and CIS integration. I want to just begin with saying that while we've done a few reviews of this project in front of the BPU, we've not come before you requesting any kind of approval process. That's gone through the City Council previously because it's a citywide project. This piece is specific to the Water Department. Therefore, we're coming to you and asking your recommendation to approve our PSA with Wolpert for this integration. I'd like to make sure that we are interactive in this process because you may have questions along the way. Please don't wait till the end to ask questions. Just let me know you'd like to discuss something. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Does everybody see my presentation? No. Oh, hold on, let's try again.
If you want to send it to me, Janine, I can share and you can just
Yeah.
tell me next slide if you're having an issue.
Okay, it seems to be having an issue, yeah. So you can actually, did you get it from Jennifer this morning or last night, actually? Version 6? Is what
I think there was still an edit that was needed on that one.
Oh. That's the last one I have.
Let me take a look.
Chair Galvin, give us a moment.
Yes, I have it.
Thank you.
I'll share mine and you can just tell me to move forward and I will for you, Janine.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for that. I'm on a laptop in a conference room, so it's a little bit different than normal.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Are you seeing the notes though?
Yes, that's what was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just need to switch. if I can remember how to do that. Let me share the other screen. I'm going to move you all off of it though.
Deputy Director Zanino, if you
Yep.
go back to sharing your screen and then going to display settings, you can switch presenter view and slide view.
All right, you should have the right one now.
Yes, that
Good.
is it.
All right, we did it.
Next page. We can get started now.
Okay.
So the City Works project background. In 2016, the city issued a request for proposal for a new EAMS system. We were currently on Hanson, and we went through a panel of multi-department deputy directors and supervisors to create the actual requirements document. Against that request for proposal, we received 8 responses. The same panel that created the RFP reviewed the responses, and they selected Wolpert Implementing CityWorks as the best choice for the city going forward with the new EAMS system. In 2018, the Santa Rosa City Council approved the original agreement for CityWorks. And in 2018, the First Amendment was created. We realized after going through discovery that we needed to readjust the scope. The initial document was issued in 2016, and by 2018, after the Tubbs fire and many other changes in the city, we realized we needed to adjust our scope. The Second Amendment was for a minor correction to that First Amendment for contract dollars, because they had not included the licensing costs in the original Second Amendment. And then in 2019, the Third Amendment for the additional scope and additional funding was approved by the City Council. And we went forward from there with the project. At that time in 2019, we separated the scope of the project out. We actually created a scope in which we were bringing up everybody except water first. And then we had water as a phase after that. And in that scope review, we realized that this particular integration of CityWorks to CIS was a bit more complex, and we would want to have it as its own sub-project of the project, but it was going to be a very complex task. So in 2019, we moved forward with the other departments, which was all of Public Works and Parks, Recreation, Parking and Facilities, and we went live in November of 2021. And after that go live, a short period of support of the go live, and we started to rescope the project for water and create this PSA for the integration for CIS. And that's where we are today. Are there any questions? No? Thank you. Next. So the purpose and description of this particular project is we need to integrate our current CityWorks system with CIS, and we need to maintain a level of integration between the operations in the meter shop, which is going to be working on CityWorks for work orders and inspections and things like that, and the water billing system, which is going to be managing the customer relationship and managing the customer services and making sure that services are turned on and turned off. And all of those communications have to occur between the water billing system, the CIS, and CityWorks. We're also looking to get a better workflow with the GIS integration. CityWorks is a GIS integrated system, so they can look at things actually on a map. And they can, today in Hanson, there's no visibility on a map. It's all based on addresses or APN numbers or information like that. Corners, it's not the corner of 4th and Main. In the future, you'll be able to look at a map and see directly where you need to go do that meter work, or where the new service is being turned on and all the rest of the field crews will have that opportunity as well as the CIS crews. So that's a great benefit. And then lastly, cleaner data and more efficient reporting tools. So currently the integration between Hansen and CIS is not optimum. And a lot of times there's a lot of cleanup that we have to do to clean the data or make the data more efficient and viable in reporting. And so we're looking at, in this integration process, to eliminate a lot of that work we do to try and maintain and audit data that's coming back and forth. As I stated before, in 2019, the staff determined that the best approach is a separate professional service agreement for the CIS and CityWorks integration. This integration is more complex than the programmers at Wolpert or the programmers within the city would be able to take on independently. We needed to go to Wolpert and have Wolpert look at best in class integration partners. Are there any questions? No? Okay, next. So when we talked to Wolpert about the best options for this integration, there was a number of different options, and we interviewed 3 different subcontractors with Wolpert that actually write this kind of programming and manage this kind of integration process. We had a couple of specific requirements. One of those was that the information that gets exchanged between the systems be on-prem. In other words, we did not want a hosted system. We wanted something we had on-premise that we could manage. And the other is we were looking at what kind of coding that they would use, because in the end, we want the knowledge transferred to our staff here, and the support of that integration we want to be able to manage in-house here. So in light of that, we did go through 3 interviews with different vendors with Wolpert. Wolpert with Spatial DNA was selected as the most qualified based on their expertise and their cost. And the standardization of the integration tool that they use is called FME, or it's called Safe Software, and FME is the local term here. And it is what we use currently in all of our integrations. So that means that what we do get in this integrated product from Spatial DNA and Wolpert will be able to be managed, and our staff are already familiar with the tool that they use. So that was a huge advantage. Based on that, we are actually asking in regards to this particular PSA to get a waiver of competitive bidding, because while we feel that Wolpert is the right choice to go forward because they have all of the other integrations and all the other CityWorks implementation knowledge of our project, we did not go out for competitive bidding on this particular piece of the project. Are there questions about that? No? Okay. Next slide. And this is yours, Kimberly.
Good afternoon. I was asked to talk a little bit about the interface itself, mostly because I've been involved with CIS, Hansen, AMI, everything meter for many, many years. So I have a lot of the background knowledge on the current interface and what we'll be asking the new interface to perform for us. So basically, when we originally moved from our legacy billing system to the CIS system, we were also in Hansen. So we had the new asset management system. And what we needed to do was we needed to build an interface between Hansen and the CIS, or the water billing system. We did build that system so that we could have meters moved from work orders in Hansen into the actual billing system so that we could use them for billing. We also built tools in there that provided us the ability for the 2 systems to communicate with each other. It, as Janine said, is not the best of integrations and the best of interfaces, but it has been working for us, and we want to maintain all of that functionality that currently exists. However, with the new integration, we're actually going to get some additional functionality, which is great. Currently, when we are changing out meters or setting meters, we don't have that inventory in either our billing system or our asset management system. That inventory is only in the citywide warehouse. So we have to create dummy meters. We go out, we do the work. We have to manually enter the attributes of the meter and then come back and manually enter whatever meter it was that was pulled from that warehouse, that citywide warehouse. What we'll be able to do now is CIS, or the water billing system, will be the system of record for our meters. So we'll actually be able to take a file from the vendor, excuse me, download all of the meter information. So we'll have the meter numbers in there already. We'll have all the attributes of the meter in there. And when we create work orders now in order to set meters or change out meters, all of that will already be in the system, and there won't be any chance for manual entry error, which with the new automated reading system, AMI, it's very important that we have all of those numbers correct and that all of that information is correct, because it's all needed in order to deliver those reads into our billing system. So that's one of the major improvements that we're going to see based on this new interface. And then the other piece is that communication piece I talked about. It's really important for us. We try to provide excellent customer service to our customers. And so we want to be able to see from anywhere. We have remote work now. We have a call center in LTP, we have a call center at the UFO, we have a call center at the annex. All of those people who can access any of these systems are able to see whenever there were city staff in the field doing any work on their meter and what they were doing. So if they're out doing a leak check, if they're out doing a water use efficiency audit, if a customer's called and asked for the meter to be turned off so they could fix a leak and then gone back out, all of that gets entered into the system through work orders and service orders. We won't go into the details of all the different names of all the different pieces in there. But there's all these pieces of information that are going back and forth that record that information in the system. So anybody answering the phone knows who was out in the field, knows why they were out in the field, and knows what was done on a property. So those are super important pieces of communication that we want to make sure continue moving forward. And then finally, right now, we don't actually map our meters in our GIS system. So we don't have a map that shows us where the exact meter is. This new integration and the new interface will actually allow us to have that integration between CIS and GIS now, so that the meters themselves can actually be mapped. This is also a big advantage for us because we're not out there looking at those meters monthly anymore. We don't read them anymore. So we don't see them in the field. They get covered by bark, bushes grow over them, things happen so that we don't actually know the exact location. So having those mapped are also going to be a big advantage for us moving forward. So that's the basics of the interface that we have now, and the new one that we're going to have, and the advantages of the new one will also be the things I talked about, but the fact that it's also going to be a much cleaner, more efficient interface. So we won't have all that background cleanup that has to be done as well. And I will be here till the end of the presentation. So if there are any questions at the end, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer them for you. And I'll hand it back to Janine now.
Hi, Janine. Are you having an issue with your unmute? Okay, one moment.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I could not get the system to unmute me. So for the fee summary, we wanted to give you some details of exactly what we're asking for in this professional services agreement. We have the integration design process, which is really the heavy lift of this. And as far from a programming perspective, so that is the spatial DNA line that you'll see there under phase 1. And then in phase 2, that's when we're going to be reviewing that with the users and making sure that we have a design that's acceptable across both the CIS and CityWorks platforms, and the user process is outlined and defined well. In phase 3, we're actually going to be testing that integration and deploying that integration. So there will be some user acceptance testing and documentation that goes with that. And then, of course, we're going to go through quite a plan in the end to do a cutover between the current CIS data and the future CityWorks integrated data. So we'll have to go through a couple of rounds of practice on that, and then make sure that when we do the cutover, it all goes well. Just so you're aware, we have an opening, or at least we have a concept that we could have this go separate from the entire CityWorks water implementation. Right now, CityWorks Water is going through their implementation for work orders and inspections. And what we're working on is, we'd like to see a big bang, have everything happen at once, but we may have to do them separately based on the actual integration design. Are there any questions about the fees? Next. So it is recommended by Santa Rosa Water that the Board of Public Utilities Contract Review Subcommittee recommend to the Board of Public Utilities that they waive the competitive bidding process and approve the professional service agreement between the city and Wolpert with a not to exceed amount of $254,260 for the development and implementation of this integration. And thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I am totally fine with the waiver of the competitive bidding process under these circumstances. My question is, what's the timing for the integration and implementation of the program?
We expect it's going to take around 10 months.
Wow, okay.
So we'll probably start, we have to go through BPU approval and then get all the signatures aligned and then start the design process. We would like to start that before the end of November if possible, but it's very likely with holidays, we won't get that started till January.
Okay. Board Member Badenfort, questions, comments?
Thank you for the presentation. It's everything that I adore. It's efficiency, it is tracking, it is aligning, it is connecting with a platform in other departments and divisions. And I have great confidence in our team that if this phase of this rollout is indeed what the team feels like, that's what they need to work with. I thought when you said 10 months, I chuckled because I thought it was a short timeline. So
it's a very aggressive timeline. I'm going to be honest with you. It's what we would like. I can't say that's what we can deliver at this point because we have to still design it. So we could come up against complexities that extend that time frame.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So support and applause and thank you all. And thanks, Chair Galvin.
All right, I would ask Board Member Badenfort if you wouldn't mind to make a motion to make.
Certainly, I am pleased to move that the Board of Public Utilities Contract Review Subcommittee recommend that the Board of Public Utilities waive the competitive bidding process and approve the professional services agreement between the city and Wolpert Inc. with a not to exceed amount of $254,260.
Great, and I will second that motion. So we do now have a motion and a second. I'll open it up for public comments. You're now taking public comments on item 3.1. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're dialing in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Secretary Manis.
There are no public comments on this item.
All right, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Board Member Walsh. Board Member Badenfort.
Aye.
Chair Galvin.
Aye. Let
Let the record show this motion passed with 2 affirmative votes.
Very good. Thank you again for the presentation, Ms. Zaragoza and Ms. Sanino. And I believe that concludes our business for today. So I will adjourn the meeting and hope to see most, if not all of you shortly at the treatment plant for the groundbreaking.
All right.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
You.
Calvin, and we're